Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you again for joining me for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. This is another Sunday here in the African Father in America Club. The Daily African Proverbs happens every single day. We gather here, we share an African proverb, and we gain wisdom from it. Every single day, the commitment that I have to, the community, the village, is that I'm going to continue being consistent and bringing, proverbs that provoke conversations and true opportunities for us to really gain African wisdom. So today our proverb is from Kenya, and Kenya is also where I come from originally. The proverb says that be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. Be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. Hi, Zizi.
Hi, sir.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? You're doing great work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm going to welcome you, Kelsey, and welcome you, Lexi and Zizi. Zizi is a huge supporter of this space. She's an author, an elder, and, I'm just happy that you're here, Zizi. I'm going to share my interpretation briefly, and then I'll invite you to share your interpretation of today's proverb. This proverb is from Maasai, the Maasai tribe in Kenya. And the Maasai are people who live in plainlands. They are the people who live in the areas where the wildlife, like the elephants, the lions. Currently, these wildlife reside in the location where the Maasai live, the Maasai land. And this proverb is also, it's related to the communication for the warriors, especially when it comes to, there's a group of warriors known as the Moran within the Maasai tribe. And the Moran are like the youngest, they're the elite warriors of the Maasai. And so this is a proverb for them. Be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. And it's just encouraging us, the people who are discussing it here right now and in general. It's meant for us to learn how to always pay attention, to always look around, because you never know what's going to contribute to you literally getting killed. When you live in the jungle, observation is like breathing. And the way that you're familiar with where you live, for example, in our own houses currently, even in your sleep, when you hear a certain sound, you know where it's coming from exactly, And this proverb is encouraging us to practice observation as much as we practice being familiar with the place that we live, And also when you think even deeper about this proverb, it also speaks about our own body, because we live in our own body. So it's asking us to be as familiar with observation as we are with ourselves. So I think this is a really, really powerful proverb. and I'm excited to hear what Zizi has to say. But I also want to invite you all who are in the audience to join us on stage, and that's for the Clubhouse audience. I know that on YouTube it's a little confusing because we are live streaming this on YouTube as well in this moment, and I see that Joanne Onyango Obunga has already joined us on YouTube. I'm really grateful for your support, Joanne. If you want to join us over there, my YouTube channel is Simon Javan Okelo, and if you subscribe to that channel, I'll be able to share with you. You'll be able to be the first people to watch these proverbs or listen to the entire conversation off of Clubhouse. This is the second week when we are live streaming this conversation to YouTube as well, and we've been hosting guests. For example, yesterday we hosted Ivnea Durosu, who is an Haitian author. Is the author of the book Alike Regardless. Last week we hosted Zizi, who is also the author of multiple books, including I have the book right here, The Rhapsody of Love. Yeah, I really enjoyed The Rhapsody of Love. I haven't finished it. So I'm just so grateful that we're all here, and I do see, many members of the village arriving. I call my community, my global community, the village, because in Africa, we live in villages, and those villages still exist. And I feel like as we continue to thrive in these virtual spaces, we still need to also embrace this idea of a village, and also the spirit by which this room happens, the type of content that we are producing. It's really a village type of conversation that we are having. So Zizi, please share with us your interpretation of today's proverb. Be as familiar with observation as you are with the place that you live. This is a Kenyan proverb. I'll be sharing more stories about Kenya later on, but I want to introduce you to Zizi. Her real name is Zena Mubaraka Gatit. Zizi says that wear gratitude like a clock, and it will feed every corner of your life. This is a quote from Rumi. Zizi, please grab the mic and share with us your interpretation. Thank you so much.
I hope this is going to be okay with people, because I seem to feel different about some things these days, or recognize them, and I'm not afraid to share them because they used to shock people before. I personally believe that we're all divine in human form, that we are all reflections of one another and of the Supreme Being. So if that's the case, then what we create the life we want for ourselves. And what we see around us is my own creation. It is, and hopefully it's coming from inspiration or divine inspiration rather than from memories of past events, because it only would be good if you are receiving with a heart and soul that is guided by God, or whatever you call it, universe, the source. And if that's the case, then whatever you see, you are projecting either good thoughts about yourself or bad thoughts. So if you see the environment and the reality of it, you have to look at it as how much are you responsible for what you're seeing. Because I think sometimes we create situations or we participate in certain things that makes those situations we are not happy with a reality. Because the only reality, the true reality, if you look at it from a faith or philosophical way, the only reality that there is within you. Everything else is a projection, like nothing really exists outside. All these things are pictures that we make. I mean, it's sort of a far-fetched thing for people to understand, but Plato talked about that before. Like when he talks about a chair, that's not really a chair, that's your perception or how you see things. So for me, if you're coming from memories, then you're going to see those people who are hostile, and this is the whole situation, and you see them as enemies and so on. But if you're coming from a point of view of love and divine inspiration, then you see those people as, what have I done that this situation became so bad? What can I do myself? Because you see, one action ripples all over the world. You think one action the person does here affects all of Africa. Look at what Simon is doing. To change the story, to change the image of Africa. He's doing maybe what people see as small things, but these create ripples and change the story of Africa. So that's how I interpret this, is that you have to be careful and observe and make sure that you see it with love and potential divine inspiration, and don't judge it. See, when you receive information, you cannot judge it or try too hard to understand. Let God inspire you of what it means. What are you going to do about it? And I'm sure, I don't know, Simon, maybe you could speak to that. Sometimes you do things because of you've got some whisper in your heart or your ear that I should do this project because it's going to help. Or how does it happen to you?
Thank you so much, Zizi.
I think I'm complete, and I don't know if Simon is in the matrix.
Hi, Zizi. I was actually talking to myself, but the people on YouTube heard me. We are live streaming this conversation on YouTube as well. If you want to join us over there, my channel is my full name, Simon Javan Okelo, and we're already joined there by Joanne Onyango Obunga, who has been a very consistent attendee of the Daily African Proverbs. But I want to respond to Zizi. Zizi, for me, I always trust my instinct, and that has not been happening for a long time. It took a lot of work for me to listen more deeply to what I'm hearing that I need to focus on, and what projects I need to prioritize. And so that's why I take a lot of risks, and I learn a lot from the many risks that I take, and I feel like I grow very fast because of how many projects I do, and I'm always willing to put in the work and test things quickly, and the things that I know are going to work in the long term, I put in little time on them every day. And that's part of why I do the Daily African Proverbs every single day, because I know that it's something that, if a solid foundation is built for it, and if it's thoroughly documented, then in the long run, it will have the same impact that it needed to have, whether I spend a lot of time in it now, initially, or whether I wait for funding or wait for more support to do it. I feel that it's so important that it needs to happen now and get documented, and we will just, continue working as we wait for the impact to happen and for our people to embrace it as well. I hope I answered your question, Zizi. Okay, this is Simon speaking. I want to welcome everyone to the Daily African Proverbs. This is a special room that we hold every single day here on Clubhouse, and it's also now a show on YouTube that you can catch 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We gather here and share African proverbs with the hopes of gaining African wisdom by the end of our conversation. At the end of each conversation, we also do a recap of this Daily African Proverbs daily on Instagram for 15 minutes. We always invite special guests from this room that were here from the beginning to join us on Instagram, so that we can discuss what stood out during the conversation, what was surprising, and also what was the biggest lesson from the conversation. So we will do the same today as well. But I want to introduce Livia Kojo Alwor, who is an amazing co-creator of the Daily African Proverbs. She has also been involved with a number of projects that I have been a part of. including Africa Day and Madaraka Festival. Livia is a poet, singer, sword swallower, and a writer who is based in London. Before I introduce Livia, though, I want to just recognize the presence of Jay Naidu. Thank you so much, Jay, for being here. And I also want to just give a shout out to Shannon and Kels and Shan and Jacob and Dr. Hisler, of course, Kelsey and Zizi. And I also see that on stage you have
Simon.
Yes. Can you hear me? This is Simon. I just want to make sure.
Oh yeah, my bad. Just saying.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. Anyhow, Livia, the mic is yours.
Hi everyone. Hi Simon. Thank you so much. I just want to apologize up front. I think I have a really noisy background because I'm actually on the beach in Greece. I went on a holiday and I'm just Simon, it's like it's so warm here and I look at the sea, it's beautiful. It's not like Africa, but it's close. So I want to keep myself short. And I also would like to marinate a little bit more over this proverb. So I'm going to go straight into introducing our first guest. I'm going to read the proverb one more time. It's called Today. Be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. And our next guest on stage is Raphael, who has also been in the room consistently recently. And I'm really looking forward to hear Raphael's interpretation. Raphael says he's a stay-at-home dad, a podcaster, and a host of White Label American podcast, guest co-host of You Don't Know Africa Trivia on Clubhouse, immigrant, big time nerd. African football is my favorite. Navy veteran. I love to remove artificial goals. My origins are tied to Nigeria and is it Kenya? I'm not sure about the second flag. But yo, I'm a Nigerian too. So please, Raphael, take the mic and give us your interpretation today. I'm looking forward.
Greetings, everybody. The second flag is from Ghana.
Oh, my bad. I'm like without glasses. So sorry.
No, it's fine. The second flag always seems to get everyone. But yeah, shout out to everyone wherever you are. Sending love to Livia, sister Simon, my brother Lexi, C, Jacob, and everyone amongst who's not on stage right now. This proverb is this proverb from Kenya, I believe. Yes. Be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. Speaks in many ways, and I'll just go with something that I apply in based on a couple of guests that I've interviewed recently. There's a saying that we have that was very common growing up in Nigeria that says all fingers are not equal. So we are not born equal. I don't believe that we are born. All humans are born equally. Some are born with a silver spoon. Some are born without a silver spoon. Some are born with disabilities. But sometimes we wait until you something affects you personally before you begin to feel like, oh, I have to notice certain things. So first guest that I had who brought something to my attention was his sister lost most of her hearing when she was pretty young, his elder sister, and she had to be put in a school for um, people with who were hearing impaired here in Brooklyn. And by him going there to volunteer at the school, he started picking up sign language, and then he now discovered the differences between sign languages in the United States and other countries. And when he was on the episode, he started talking about, and he now teaches in Spain. And he now opened my eyes like there's a whole lot of observing that we don't do because you are able to speak, you're able to talk, you're able to move from here to there. But if you are someone who's hearing impaired, a different ball game for you. Your observation is a whole lot different. Now, I interviewed a classmate of mine recently. He's a professor in South Africa, and he comes from a part of Nigeria that we used to make fun of back in the days. That we used to say those guys don't travel, and now he's traveled. He moves. He's been to other African, more African countries than I've been to, and he teaches disability studies, and he teaches mostly students who are hearing impaired. And when he was breaking down how one time he submitted a proposal to the Nigerian police that you need to train your police officers to be able to understand sign language so that when you come in, you encounter someone who is hearing impaired, someone who is deaf, you don't have to go find a third party to know what this person is trying to tell you. So if the person is trying to tell you there's a suspect here, there's someone who committed a crime here, there's something wrong, you now go and be like, oh, my God, what is going on? Oh, and then there's how do they observe? How can you take observation from someone who you do not consider to be normal like you? We are in that. Uh, we coming from a place where we only observe what works for us directly, and we only see ourselves as those who are the people who we only observe ourselves as the aim, as those with access. We forget that access should be for everyone, and until we start changing, or we observe that everyone should have access, then like the proverb says, that you should observe as you are with the place you live. You're leaving out a whole lot of people. That's why I always advocate for mental health. I advocate for now I've started adding disability, and disability expands beyond people who are physically deformed. It also includes people who are not physically deformed, because that language was what I grew up with, and now I have to start changing how I talk about it, because it goes beyond what what has been given to me. So yeah, I use from my podcast, and I use those two guests to change my observation. As a military veteran, I also have a different way of observing, because every room I come into, I always observe. I like sitting with my back to the wall facing the entrance. That's just a natural thing I do. I see who's coming into the room. That's another form of observation that I do. It's a self-defense mechanism that I have. That's another form of observation. But I rather go with the inclusion of accessibility for everybody. We should always keep that in mind. Thank you. I use my mic. I have to go record an episode, so I'll switch to YouTube now. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much, Raphael, for this interpretation. I love how you took the steering wheel actually back to our observation, and like kind of really pointing out that we often only observe what we know, and that we have to kind of widen our perspective and observe the world as a whole. That's what I'm getting from it, including people who are not like us or situations who are not like us. Um, Thank you so much, and also well done for multitasking. Now you said you're going to YouTube right now, so there's a whole lot of multitasking in this room since the YouTube live channel came uh like about, which is great. I love it. Thank you so much. All right, next on stage we have Lexi Malone. Lexi says she is a voiceover artist by choice. People love my voice. Dress for less guru. Oh, I need a consultation, I think. Queen of Forgiveness. Love that. Lady with the sunshine smile. So beautiful. And many things more. Please welcome to our stage, Lexi. And we are very curious for your interpretation of our proverb today that says, be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. The mic is yours, Lexi.
Grand Rising, everyone. Hello. This is my first time in this room, and I love it. I love African proverbs and just love learning my history. So that's why I jumped into this room the moment I saw it and joined. So, what I got from the African proverb today, and I'm actually looking at it on Simone's page, is be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. That is so deep. I'm interpreting that as you're very familiar with your own home. And that I love what Zizi said because you can be very familiar with yourself, or you cannot be very familiar with yourself. There are many people in the world who don't know who they are. And that observation of not knowing who you are yourself will determine how you observe and perceive the rest of the world. Even your home that you actually dwell in will be perceived and observed differently because you don't know who you are. So, in that's the way that I was able to decipher that. I really love this proverb because the word observation actually means the action or process of observing something or someone carefully or in order to gain information. So you must observe yourself in order to understand and observe your surroundings so that you can create the life that you want to create. I really dug what Zizi said because I understood that that's my platform. That's where I live in that kind of context. So I really did enjoy what Zizi had said. And Simon, I love what you said, Simon, when you first introduced the African proverb. And I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly. If you could correct me. Otherwise, that is exactly how I felt about that proverb. Is that we observe things. Just like Zizi said, based on your perception and experiences and memories and everything, but it should be a point where you can observe things from a subjective point of view where you can learn from it, because sometimes we observe things and we learn nothing because we're objective to those things instead of subjective. So being open minded is the best point of contact that you can use for observation, because if you're looking at things with a closed mind, then you're only looking at it from your point of perception. But if you're looking open mindedly, then that's when you have the biggest opportunity to learn. Lexi, and I am out.
Thank you so much, Lexi, for that interpretation. And I find that very interesting. And I was actually, yes, what you said, I was going to say something else, but I actually think that observing yourself is really important too. And something came to my mind while you were speaking. So, self observation is, I think, one of the most important things, especially like out of my perspective as an artist. I always want to grow. I want to create better work the next time around. I want to be a better performer. And yeah, so recently I started singing, and I'm very, I know very well what I do, and I know very well how I sell myself and where I go. And my friend talked to me and she said, "Oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that." And I was like, "No, I don't think so, because I'm not ready quite yet to do this. What I need is this and this." And she said to me, "Oh, but you don't know what I see, because I see you and you are so advanced in this and that." And I was like thinking to myself, no, I exactly know what she is seeing, because what she is seeing, I'm selling. Because I really watch myself closely all the time and really decide the next step very carefully in my career. And I think this is really an important, beautiful thing that I sometimes achieve and sometimes I don't. That self-observation and like guiding yourself carefully by the way of knowing the self throughout your life is a really important part of like going places and growing. So I love that reminder. Thank you, Lexi. And yeah, another thing that came to my mind with this proverb was like it says, be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. I recently moved house. And it's really weird because I mean, you know every corner of the place you live. I lived in my previous place for 12 years. So I know the smells of the hallway, my house. I know the noises at night. I know what's going on. And moving into a new place that's entirely different and having to relearn the place or having to learn the new house to feel comfortable there and safe is quite a task. And every day I'm still kind of, I bought a washing machine, which is new. It makes different sounds. And I put the washing machine on and then it scared me because it made sounds that I didn't know. And you listen to all the things that are happening around you at home very carefully to make it a comfortable place for yourself. And this proverb reminds me of that's a beautiful way to go through all of life. Listening to people, listening to moments carefully. And I love to travel alone. And I always, people ask me, are you bored? And I was like, no, I'm actually enjoying listening to the places I go to. And it really gave me the reminder of being even more alert and even more, you know, curious about my surroundings every day. So that's really beautiful. And that's what I got from the proverb. Thank you so much. And with that, I'm yielding the mic back to Brother Simon.
Thank you very much, Olivia. I am grateful. I'm grateful, and the sound of nature behind you is very, very nice for Sunday. So thank you for sharing that with us as well. I want to thank everyone joining us on YouTube. Brother Ivner was our guest yesterday. I spoke about him briefly at the beginning of the room, but he has joined us on YouTube for the live stream of this conversation. Raphael, who was also in the room earlier, is there with us, and Joan is both on Clubhouse like myself and on YouTube. I'm just so grateful for the love and support, really from across the world, but from people of African descent who believe in this work that we are doing. Welcome everyone to the Daily African Proverbs. We do this every single day, and at 6:30 a.m. we normally turn off hand raising. So I'll just give you another minute to raise your hand if you want to join us on stage. And the way to do that is using the button. I'm sure most of you already know that, but I just want to invite you, because in a minute we are going to turn off hand raising. I want to go ahead and introduce my wonderful brother Jacob Oyugi, also in Kenya. Jacob is an amazing filmmaker and producer in Kenya. He is born and bred in Kenya, looking to venture into the international film scene. He is currently working on his first film to be shot and produced entirely in Kenya. But he has also, done a lot of things with other major media houses in Kenya. And it's a pleasure that you're here with us, Jacob. Please share with us your interpretation of today's proverb that says, be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. Thank you so much.
Hi Simon. Hi guys.
Hi Jacob. Your volume is really low today. Could you get closer to your
Can you
mic?
hear me now? Can you get me now?
Yeah, it's
Is
much
that
better.
better?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Perfect. Sorry, I'm using my earphones. I'm so glad to be in this room and to hear from amazing speakers. Livia, you've done an amazing job. Lexi, I've equally done an amazing job. So for this proverb today, be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live. Um, I'm a I'm a I'm a film producer, and everything I produce or everything I direct out there is based on observation. We really rely I really rely on observation. And observation, you don't need only your eyes to observe. You can observe using your hands. You can observe with the sense of touch, with the sense of smell. You can observe with, you know, everything that is around you. You can use whatever you have. Maybe you watch to observe, time, observe the weather and all that kind of stuff. But what we observe at the end of the day, um, around us, make or rather lead to who we are. It plays, whatever is around us plays a major role to the kind of person we become, or the kind of people we desire to be. And observation is basically a key data collection technique, and we can do research through observation. And with research, with such observational research, we get to understand how people naturally interact with, the things around them, the products they buy, the people they interact with. It provides inspiration. Observation provides inspiration to, whatever you want to do with your career, with your life, with the people around you. While it may seem like observation is as simple and uniform as watching something or taking down notes, there are some subtle differences that can affect the kind of, you know the the kind of things the kinds of conclusion we make after observation. And this is a very amazing, or rather beautiful proverb that speaks um, to the kind of people we are in. Are we the kind of people who observe and let our observation teach us, or are we the kind of people that observe and draw conclusions? Yeah. On both ends of the spectrum, we will face ethical considerations as those being observed aren't aware of. We, as the observers, we end up we will end up facing ethical considerations as those being observed aren't aware of. And for me, observation as an African, I'm in Nairobi, and everything that I observe, where I live, before I even move to where I live, I scout locate. I get to understand. Is this where I'd really want to live? Is this the kind of neighborhood that I'd really want to live? Are these the kind of people that I'd really want to live with? Yeah. So you need there's that essence of being familiar with the observation. Be as familiar with the observation as you are with the place you live. Everybody, it will take you a few months before you learn the place you live and all that. But
My phone just went off. So for those of you on YouTube, you will be able to see that. So I am turning on my phone right now, and you'll be able to hear Jacob.
so these might not necessarily mean um, uh, like the physical place you really mean the person you live with. Are you observant, like how they react to stuff? Are you observant with, are you familiar with how they react to some certain foods? Are you familiar with the things that make them mad? Are you familiar with what makes them happy? Yeah, so you really need to be in that position whereby you understand, things around you. You understand the things that um, make things happen, so to say. So you need to do stuff. You need to be cleansed. You need to be curious, not waiting for inspirations, shove or the society's kiss on your forehead. You need to pay attention because it's all about paying attention. And attention is vital. Attention is vitality because it connects you with others. It makes you eager. So as a people, you need to stay eager, observe, pay attention, take a call to action, concentrate, connect, be eager to know how is my environment. Find that inspiration. Through inspiration, you get that intelligence because at the end of the day, observation is vitality. You know, it's funny how in this journey of life, even though we might begin at different times and places, our paths tend to cross with others so that we may share our love, our compassion, our observations, our hope. It's a design I believe that God uh, built that I really appreciate and cherish. Yeah. So for me, as a writer, as a director, as a maker, I think if we don't pay attention to the world will never pay attention to us. If we don't sit down and observe the world will never be nice to us. So I think that my job as an observer, or rather to observe people and the world as a filmmaker, is to observe, write about it, get into people's systems, not not to judge them, but to understand how things happen. I always hope to position myself away from the so-called conclusions. I would like to leave everything wide open to all the possibilities in the world. And sometimes the most quiet person in the room is the hugest observer. So observe as much as, be silent as much as you observe, because quiet people always know more than they seem. Although very normal, their inner world is by default. It's mysterious, therefore assumed as weird. I'm more of a quiet person because I sit down in a room and observe a lot. So as I conclude, um, all I'd love to say is we should never underestimate the social awareness, the sense of reality in a quiet person. They are the most observant people, absorbent and intelligent persons of all our times. So be observant. Don't assume. Be self-aware. Let's observe as this African proverb teaches us. Let's learn to, sit down, reflect, observe, and learn. Be the hungriest person in the room, but be quiet as much as you talk. That was my time, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacob. This is Simon speaking. I am so grateful for your share, and I don't want to add much to it. I picked up things like being in a position where you understand things around you. You also shared with us that what we observe leads to who we become. These are just a few of the amazing words of wisdom that you shared with us. And that's why I always say that here in the Daily African Proverbs, I learn more than I actually share. So that's why I want to always share my interpretation at the beginning of the room so that I can focus on, listening, taking notes, and also multitasking. As we speak, I am live tweeting. I am engaging with the chat on YouTube. I'm here running this, Daily African Proverbs show on Clubhouse. And that's how I want to, get my day started, just, in the village, with our community. And listening to Jacob is extremely a gift. Now we want to listen to Joanne. Joanne is also with us on YouTube and has really been an amazing contributor to the Daily African Proverbs. Joanne is joining us from Nairobi, Kenya, and Joanne is in finance, law reform, public policy reform. She's also expert in dialogue, negotiation, and mediation. Wow, thank you so much for being here with us, Joanne. I'm grateful, and I would love to hear what your interpretation of today's proverb is. The proverb says, "Be as familiar with observation as you are with the place you live." Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you everyone for being here. I'm sending a lot of love and light from Nairobi, Kenya. It's late afternoon here, and I imagine a lot of you are waking up at your local locations. For me, I agree with what the speakers are saying, and I'm going to be very short. I get sensitivity, I get care, I get understanding, I get love, and I get gratitude in my interpretation of that proverb. So, what the proverb is telling us, or is advising us, or is guiding us to do, is to just be sensitive to our environment.
Wow, John, we lost you right when you said.
And to everybody that we relate to and everything.
Yeah, I think John.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a moment, John. We lost you at the moment where you're saying we need to be observant to our environment.
Yeah, we need to be sensitive, and we need to just care and show some love to our environment. And that environment includes the flora, both the fauna and flora. So, even as we are within our very close spaces, we need to care, understand, love, and offer gratitude to just everything that we relate to, not only human, but even just the plants and the water and the soil and everything. We need to be in touch with our environment because we are one. If we are not at, what word do I use? If we are not moving together with the environment, then we cause a lot of dysfunctionality, and that's why we have a lot of problems in the world today, because we don't care. So that's my interpretation for now. Thank you very much, Simon.
Thank you so much, John, for your interpretation. I am so grateful. And also, Joanne is co-hosting the Instagram live recap of today's conversation. So join us right after this room on Instagram. You can follow Joanne on Instagram, or you can follow me so that you catch the live where we will be talking about three things: what stood out, what was surprising, and also what is it that we learned today. Thank you so much, Joanne. And now I want to introduce, my wonderful, amazing sister and friend and comrade, Jay. And Jay Ware is an amazing, playwright, poet, spoken word artist, creator of a club for just for children, pretend singer, musician. She did an amazing performance of I'm Coming in Black, an amazing poem that she wrote at Madaraka Festival in July, that is still, a subject of many conversations on and off Clubhouse. Jay, share with us your interpretation of today's proverb. And also, because you've been so deeply involved with the Daily African Proverbs, this week I've seen you in all the rooms. Just share with us, what your thoughts are about this week in general here in the Daily African Proverbs. But for those who are meeting Jay for the first time, Jay says that the world is thirsty for kindness, happiness, integrity, truthfulness, and love. Be a rejuvenating and refreshing cold glass of water. Thank you so much, Jay, for being here.
Dear Brother Simon, to know you is to be a friend. You are a friend to so many people, and you're so observant yourself to even know that I was in other rooms this week. What I wanted to say about the proverb is that you have to be familiar with where you live, where you reside, with your home, the sounds of your home. When you turn on the water, is there a sound that the pipes make? You need to walk around your home. This is the structure where you live. And I often walk around my house and I'm looking to see if there's anything that I need to be aware of that has changed. It could be something as simple as maybe ants starting to, you'll see an ant mound starting to build. You need to see, if birds or if bees have found an opening in your home and they're getting inside. So you just building a nest. So you just need to be really familiar with your house, inside and outside. So if there's water leaking somewhere, if mold is starting. So the bottom line is that you just need to be really familiar with your house as much as possible, because it will cost you in the end if you don't catch it at the beginning. The same thing is with your surroundings, with people and situations and circumstances. Is just to be more observant of the people that you allow in your space, in your life, in your circle, that you interact with, that you develop a relationship with, that they're not there for the wrong reasons, just like an infestation. They're not there for the wrong reasons. They're not there to cause harm or chaos or trouble that will cost you in the end, because you weren't paying attention at the beginning as to what you were stepping into or getting into. And that is my interpretation of the proverb. Every day, this room, truly, whenever I can come into this room, it brings me so much wisdom. It truly does. And it's wisdom that I have applied in my daily life, my daily interactions. I will, in ways that I haven't thought of before, that hasn't crossed my mind, because I didn't have the gift, and I consider it a gift to have been raised in a home and an environment that allows you to be more observant in terms of using proverbs in a deeper way. You're more observant, you're more wise in a deeper way in terms of how you see things and move in the world and interact with other people. So for the months that I've been coming in here, this daily African proverb room has changed me. It's really interesting. It has. And I will think, and I'm more observant, and I will pay closer attention. And my words, the words that leave my mouth now, are more careful and cautious and thoughtful than before. Last thing I'll say is that I needed to share in a meeting in this organization yesterday. And as I was planning and preparing, I was thinking more deeply about how I was going to share my information in a way that allowed me to truly express what I was concerned about, but in a way that was more thoughtful. It still needed to be said, but it was said in a way that was more thoughtful. And that is what this room has truly helped me with and has truly benefited me and has truly made a difference in my entire conversations with people. So I think this room is absolutely invaluable and certainly has been invaluable to me. This is Jane. I'm finished speaking.
Wow, Jay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you. Now, we are going to hear from Ivna. Ivna is going to close us out today, and we hosted Ivna yesterday. He was our special guest in the African Wisdom Club, where we read excerpts from his book. I now have a copy of his book. I had not received my copy before the conversation yesterday, but I've now read the first chapter, and I don't think I'll be dropping it. So Ivna is here. Briefly, Ivna, just share with us how yesterday's session in the African Wisdom Club was. And, as an Haitian brother, one of the elders that is helping us make the African Wisdom Club continue thriving is Jane Aidu. And I didn't ask you a question to the elders yesterday when I was interviewing you. I only asked you a question in regards to what it would feel like for young people to read your book and for you to speak to young people. But in closing, would you just share with us how it would feel like for elders like Jane Aidu to have this book and for you to engage them in conversations? For example, Jay is leading, is a part of important conversation that is bringing intergenerational, ideas together. And I feel like that's what your book is doing as well. So I wanted you to speak to that just briefly, and then we will end our room and go and do the recap of the room with Joanne on Instagram. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brother Simon. It's always an honor to share the space with you. Yesterday was an amazing session, and the room was very responsive, and we had so many great questions and great comments about the issue of diversity, about the issue of belonging and love. And I appreciate everyone who actually participated in that session. I believe for the older generation, we can help facilitate that conversation about helping the youth, helping the young people recognize how important it is to love, how important it is to care for other human beings. Because the older generation, they have experienced in a more deeper way racism, discrimination, and bigotry and hate. If you are someone who came to the US in the 70s and in the 60s, in the 50s, you more likely you have more knowledge on these issues and how it affected you, and you can help your younger son and your younger daughter to understand these things been around for a long time. And now you as a young person need to take a responsibility to understand this and teach other young people to understand how it is important to use empathy, understanding, and love and goodness to teach other fellow human to do the same. So the older generation has a huge role in making that happen because they've seen things much closer. And I hope that answers your question, Brother Simon. But I'd like to comment a bit on to this proverb, if you allow me to.
Yes, please.
To
Thank you so much.
Yes, and to this proverb, be as familiar with uh, observation as you are with the place you live. Uh, what I see from this proverb is be as familiar. I see the word family. You know your family. What I see from this, what I deduct from this proverb, you need to know yourself, know who you are. I heard a story of a man who was looking for a home. He went to one home and he smelled something bad in that home, in that neighborhood. And he couldn't figure out what's going on. He said, "No, this home is bad. This neighborhood is bad. I cannot live here." And he went to a second neighborhood. He smelled something really bad in that neighborhood too. He couldn't figure out what's going on. He went to a third neighborhood and same thing. Something smelled so bad in that neighborhood. And before he went to the fourth neighborhood, he stopped and think about it for a minute. And he looked under his shoes and he realized that he had stepped on dog poop. So the smell was coming from his shoes, under his shoes. The point I'm trying to make, you need to check yourself. Your environment is you, yourself. Take responsibility for your own self. It is important for you to know yourself. Self knowledge is very important because it brings happiness. You'll be happier when you can express who you are. You can express the desires that you want. And also, self happiness helps with conflict, the inner conflict, precisely. Self happiness, self knowledge helps you make better decisions. When you know yourself, you are able to make better choices about everything, from small decisions to bigger decisions. Self control. When you know yourself, you more likely to have self control. You understand what motivates you to resist the bad habits and develop good ones. And when you know yourself, as you, all of you would know, we have social media and we have so many things going on. We have social pressure, and we see something on someone's Facebook wall or Instagram, and and that's all we see. We don't know the person, but we are already feel pressured to do the same. So when you know yourself, you're more likely to resist to social pressure. When you are grounded in your values and preferences, you're less likely to say yes when you know you could say no. Tolerance and understanding of others. When you know yourself, you're aware of your own issues, your own struggles, and, and then you are able to empathize with others. Knowing yourself brings you vitality and pleasure. Being who you are truly, know who you are truly, helps you feel more alive and makes you experience of life richer and larger and more exciting. So this proverb tells me I should know who I am. I should have self-knowledge. Knowing you symbolize the place you live. Be familiar with who you are, and you're more likely to be successful in so many things that you want to do. My name is Ivner, and I have spoken.
You spoke, Ivnia, you spoke. You wrote books in just a few minutes. Thank you so much. There's no better way for us to end the Daily African Proverbs today. And we did an amazing job keeping time and creating space to make our ancestors proud. Because every time we come in this space, my mission and my hope is that we are making our ancestors smile and making them proud, because these proverbs are not new. These types of conversations that we are having right now are not new. They are conversations that were had before. We just forgot about them for a while. And I feel that that's an important thing that we need to begin cultivating and embracing, these types of depth of conversations. So thank you again for joining me on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel, and if you are watching this video after the live, please make sure you leave your comment, just sharing with us what stood out for you, what was surprising, and also what you learned in the course of watching this video or listening to this conversation. I want to thank you, Jay Naidu, for being here, and also Jay Ware, and Joanne, and Lexi, and Andreas, and Paula, and David, Ivne, of course, everyone else in the room, Chibesa, Hayden, Vito, Rahel, Nidia, Shoti, and Rachel. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to go and do the recap on Instagram in a moment with Joanne. We will see you again tomorrow, same time, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and have a wonderful week ahead.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello live.